Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Marcia from Mom Hunts Dead People, and today we're covering the Lizzy Borden trial and the inquest of Emma Borden. Emma was noticeably out of town during the murders, and she didn't return until after them. So she was absent during all of the witness statements that we've read, and she's only just now showing up. So we finally get to hear her side of events. If you haven't heard the witness statements, pop back on over to witness statements in episode 1 so you can get a feel for everything that went down before they wound up before an inquest. All right. Emma L. Borden. What is your full name? Emma L. Borden. What does the L stand for? Lenora. You are older than Miss Lizzy? Yes, sir. What is your age? 41. How old were you, as near as you can recollect, when your father married the second time? Just a trifle over 14. So that you probably remember your mother? Yes, sir. Have you lived at home most of the time? Yes, sir. Have you ever lived away from home? I was away at school about a year and a half. That was some time ago? Yes, sir. Did you go to Europe with your sister? No, sir. When was it she went? 2 years ago this summer, I think. On how long? 19 weeks. How long had you been away when this tragedy happened? 2 weeks. Visiting in Fairhaven? Yes, sir. Where were you visiting there? 19 Green Street. Who? Miss Helen Brunell and her mother. What time did you get back? I came on the train that left New Bedford 3:40. You came right to the house. You went up to Weir Junction and came down. Who sent for Mr. Jennings? I think I did. I know I did. In relation to administration? Not then. I have no business to ask you what you sent for him for. Did you ever hear your father speak of a will? No, sir. Did you understand that he had a will? I knew he had one. I did not know whether it was destroyed or not. Now, because it's been a while, you guys may not remember who Mr. Jennings is. But that is Lizzy and Emma's lawyer. So he's basically saying that when she came home, the first thing she did was contact her lawyer. But because of attorney-client privilege, he can't ask why she contacted the lawyer. Honestly, in my opinion, it's just a good idea. When was it you understood that he had one? Oh, I don't know. A long while ago. A number of years. Yes, sir. More than 10. Well, I don't know. It seems as if it was longer than that. How did you get the information that he had a will then? My uncle, John Morse, told me. That is not the one that is in the house now. Yes. Did you not hear that it had been destroyed? No, sir. That is, your Uncle John never told you that? No, sir. Did you know anything of the provisions of the will? No, sir. Now that is a little bit interesting because now we have John knowing that there was a will made. And if you remember his testimony from the last episode, he was like, yeah, my ex brother-in-law like mentioned he had a will, and then he kind of like mentioned he destroyed it, and I wasn't really paying attention. But he also mentioned that to his eldest niece, and she could have told that to Lizzy, and neither one of them knew, at least at this point we don't know that they knew, that the will was destroyed. So they're under the presumption that there is a will, and we don't know how much that he has been, that John Morse has been telling them about the will, because there was also mention that that Mr. Borden was talking about leaving a good sum to widows, to the widow's home in the area. It was not before your father married the second time, was it? That my uncle told me. No, I don't think it was. Was it about that time? It don't seem as if it was as long ago as that, but I am not sure. Have you never heard your father speak of a will? No, sir. Had you ever talked the matter of the will over with your sister Lizzy? Had you ever talked over the matter of a will with your father, with your sister Lizzy? I had wondered if there was one, something like that. That was all. When do you recollect was the last time the subject was mentioned between you? I can't tell. I don't know. Were you away a good deal of the time and mostly at home? Mostly at home. Who kept the house? Your stepmother, that is? Who had charge of the management? Yes, sir. She filled the place of housekeeper? Yes. Did you have yourself any particular duty in connection with the house? Some things I always did. What were they? I always took charge of the parlor, my sister and I. We always took charge of the guest chamber and our own rooms. That is, you and your sister did that? Yes, sir. Not your separate duty, but yours and hers. I did most of it. Sometimes she assisted. Did your mother never have charge of the guest chamber? I did not know that she ever did. When I was home, I don't think she ever did. You don't know how it happened that she was having the work of the guest chamber on the morning that she died? No, sir. Any other duties that you and Lizzy did about the house? Regular duties, I mean. No, I don't think there was anything that we did steadily, just as we felt. If we wanted to, we did. Did Lizzy stay at home most of the time? I don't know how to answer. Do you mean that she went away out of town visiting? The question perhaps embraces that. And day absences too. She was out a good deal of days, but she was not always visiting very much. She did not go out to work? No, sir. You mean she was away at other places? Out visiting friends, and she had a good deal of mission work and things like that she did. Did she usually eat with the family? Just as it happened, if she was there, sometimes she did, and a good many times she did not get in. Did she usually have breakfast with the family? Hardly ever. Did not get up soon enough? No, sir. Did you? Not always, but oftener than she did. Yes, sir. Who did the marketing? Father or Mrs. Borden? I don't know. Who usually? I don't know. One or the other. Do you know where the marketing was done? No. Did it have any particular place? We always had the groceries from Mr. Wade's and John M. Dean's. My sister used to order a great many things from John M. Dean. Was that a meat market? No, sir. Where was the meat usually purchased? I don't know. Who usually purchased the meat? Father or Mrs. Borden. Do you know anything about those axes that were said to have been found downstairs? No, sir. If you guys are finding her lack of knowledge of how the household runs to be suspicious, I legit don't. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've talked to people and they just let other people in the house handle everything. It's like just not in their wheelhouse. And they're just like, yeah, groceries come somehow. And I don't know if so and so has a will. Like, never thought about it. Do you know whether there were two axes downstairs before about this time? No, sir. Do you mean by that you don't know whether there were or not, or that you know there were any, or that you know there were not any? I don't know whether there were or not. There might have been for all you knew. Yes, sir. You had no occasion to use them, of course. No, sir. Probably did not have a great deal of business down cellar. No, sir. The water closet, I believe, was down cellar. Yes, sir. Besides that, you did not go down there very much. Not very often. I had nothing to go for. A short-handled hatchet, it is said, was found down there. Assume that it was. Do you know anything about that? No, sir. Do you know whether your father kept any such instrument or not? No, sir. That is, you would not know whether he did or not. I know the farmer used to come over and cut up wood. I suppose he had something to do it with, but I don't know. Whether any such instrument had been previously kept there, you don't know. No, sir. I never saw one, but there must have been one. Assume there were three found. Yes, sir. I think I have seen a hatchet down there in the wood room. I am quite sure I have. You understand, of course, what I mean by a hatchet. A short-handled, wide-bladed instrument differs from an axe in being wider bladed. Well, I don't know. It's like they're all the same animal to me. So thank you for clearing that up. I guess as it is an axe I mean. I don't know which I do mean. If I saw them, I might tell. An axe is longer handled and smaller bladed. The blade of an axe don't differ much from the shape of that. Not quite so long about that shape. A hatchet is shorter handled and is more such shape as that blotting paper, the handle going in there and wider at the bottom. I cannot tell you which it was. I don't remember. When do you think you saw whatever you did see there? I haven't any idea. Sometime before that or recently. I should say it might have been several months that I had not been in the wood room for anything. Your remembrance of it, as far as you have remembrance, is that it was a hatchet. I cannot tell which. You spoke of a hatchet. When you describe them, I don't know which it was the most like. You don't know of anything being done with an axe or hatchet that would cause blood to come on it, do you? Not unless father killed pigeons with them. I don't know whether he did or not. You did not see him kill the pigeons. No, sir. Further than that, you have no remembrance of anything that would cause blood. No. Do you know of anybody that was on unpleasant terms with your father? Only the rumors that I have heard since I came home. At that time, did you know of anybody before you went away who was on unpleasant terms with your father? The marshal produces an instrument, which is something between an axe and a hatchet. I don't know whether that means that the stenographer doesn't know whether it was an axe or a hatchet herself, or she was like, no, this is like a mushed up version of an axe hatchet. I can't tell. I just know there was something there the farmer used, but I have no idea. I did not hear the answer, if you did make one, to the question I put, whether you knew of anybody that was on bad terms with your father. There was one man he did not speak to. Who was that? Mr. Harrington, a connection of his first wife? No, sir. His sister's husband. Did that extend to his sitter as well as the husband? No, sir. She was on good terms with the family? Yes, sir. Came there to visit? Yes, sir. He did not come? No, sir. He did not come to the house? No, sir. But she did? Yes, sir. He had been to the door to call my sister or I. He was not particularly on bad terms with you or your sister? No, sir. Did you know of anybody who was not on good terms with your stepmother? No, sir. I don't think I did. And yes, Harrington is the same police investigator who did the witness statements. I have so many problems with that. I don't know why this is still allowed in modern society, why we still allow investigators to investigate family members and friends and coworkers. That should not be a thing. I also don't know why that, coming from somebody who is used to the military moving, we move every 4 years, sometimes less. The majority of us do anyway. Why cops don't implement this same thing is beyond me. You're only allowed to be at a specific department for so many years, and then you must transfer to a new location. It seems like it would solve a lot of the dirty cop issues. Not that it entirely solved all of the military issues, but it helps to control them. Or any trouble she had ever had with anybody? No, sir. Were the relations between you and your stepmother cordial? I don't know how to answer that. We always spoke. That might be, and not be at all cordial. Well, perhaps I should say no then. Were the relations between your sister Lizzy and her mother what you would call cordial? I think more than they were with me. Somewhat more than they were with you, but not entirely so, you mean perhaps. I do not want to lead you in all. I judge from your answer you mean that, or you don't mean that. You say somewhat more than your relations were. Do you mean they were entirely cordial between your stepmother and your sister Lizzy? No. Can you tell me the cause of the lack of cordiality between you and your mother, or was it not any specific thing? Well, we felt that she was not interested in us, and at one time father gave her some property, and we felt that we ought to have some too, and he afterwards gave us some. So her story about the property does match up with Lizzy. That they're like, hey, you gave her property. What about us? We're your kids. That, however, did not heal the breach, whatever breach there was. The giving of property to you did not entirely heal the feeling. No, sir. That was some time ago. Yes, sir, some time ago. How long after he gave the property that he did give to your stepmother was it before he gave some property to you and Lizzy? Well, not very long. He did it because you and Lizzy claimed that he ought to do it, I suppose. That is, you put in a claim that he should do it. No, sir, we did not. How, then, did he happen to? A friend came to us and told us that he heard him say that he thought of giving us the homestead on Ferry Street and advised us to ask for it. How often has Mr. Morse been in the habit of coming to the house? Just as it happened. That is, sometimes oftener and sometimes not so often? Yes, sir. That is, since he had been here this time? Yes, sir. It was not an unusual thing for him to come and spend the night? Oh, no, sir. Did you know he was coming here this last time? No, sir. Did he ever write to any members of the family? He wrote to me, and I think to father. A regular correspondence? No, more than once a year. I mean, before he came east. Oh, I corresponded with him regularly when he was west. He was enough of an uncle then to be a correspondent. He's a very dear uncle of ours. Oh, mine. You corresponded with him regularly? Yes, sir. How long has Maggie worked for you? I call her Maggie. Her name is Bridget. Did she go by the name of Maggie? My sister and I called her Maggie. How long has she worked for you? I think it is 3 years this fall. It may be 4. Did she used to wait on the table? Not always. I mean in the sense of standing around the table as a waiter does. We generally waited on the table ourselves. She would come in occasionally and bring anything we needed. She did not serve as a stand-up waiter, did not stand behind the party. When you got home, was she at home? Thursday night. Yes, sir. What did she tell you about it? She did not tell me anything. I don't remember asking her but one question, 2 questions. What was that, please? I asked her if she would stay with us. If the other one has no more to do with this matter than that, I don't care for it. I asked her if she saw any boy come with a note. I do not remember asking her any other questions. You never have seen the note that you speak of? No, sir. You have not been able to find who sent it? I have not tried. Have you looked for the note? No, sir. Do you know whether your stepmother was in the habit of destroying her letters? I don't know, but I think she did. I am not sure. Did she receive many? Not that I know of. Did your father use to preserve his letters mostly? Did your father preserve his letters usually? I don't think think he did, unless they were business letters. Before you got home that night, you did not hear Maggie say anything about where she was when the thing happened. I love how he keeps calling her Maggie and everyone's like, no, her name's Bridget. He's like, well, I'm going to call her Maggie. No, sir. Nor have you any talk with her at all. No, sir. Did you see your sister when you came home? Yes, sir. What did she say about it? I don't know. There was so much going on. I don't think I'll trouble you with a question anyhow. Did you use to keep the back door, the screen door fastened? Was that the habit of the household? Indeed, to when they were in. How about the front door? We locked that with a spring lock. Did the spring lock work? Once in a while we would find it did not, but very seldom. The few times it did not work did not come from the fact that the door was not slammed to enough to catch the spring. I suppose that might have been it. You had not had it repaired? No, sir. It is in the same condition now it had been. Yes, sir. You have lived there since the tragedy. You are still living in the house. Yes, sir. It works as well now as it did. There is no difference in it. So far as I know, it does. Was it the habit to keep the front door locked with the spring lock? Yes, sir. How about the bolt and the big lock? We used those only when we went to bed. When did they get unlocked in the morning? Usually when my sister or I came downstairs. One or the other unlocked them. I understand you are not feeling well. No, sir, not very well. I have omitted a good many questions I would have asked you on that account. And that was it. That was short. I really expected Emma to have gone much longer in her inquisition, but no, that was it. Okay, that saves my voice for the day. So everyone, what do you think about Emma's testimony? So I will see everybody next time. Until then, happy hunting.